Chapter 52. Happy to meet again. When the arrivals step onto the land and immediately catch sight of me, they all spread out their arms wide and weep with joy to see me again. Cornelius also immediately greets his brother Cyrenius and says, "Yes, if you are all here, there will certainly be no other job for me to do than to rejoice head over heels to be blessed to be among you again." Faustus, Kisjona, and Philippold, however, cannot yet pronounce a single word, but the servants are also amazed to meet me again here. Cyrenius asks Cornelius when he had heard about the fate of the city of Caesarea Philippi. Cornelius says, "I actually didn't hear it from any messenger. Instead, I only strongly suspected it myself. Yesterday was a spectacular day in every respect. First, a full solar eclipse, which gave us a complete night for a good 30 moments in the middle of the day. But in the evening, when it should actually have been night, it pleased the sun to remain a few hours longer over the horizon, which naturally made an indescribable impression on the Jews, Greeks, and Romans. If the present leader of the Pharisees, who is now a great friend of our old Jairus, was not a very wise and sober man, and his neighbour in Nazareth likewise, both cities could have been consumed by flames. But the leaders gave very clever speeches to the outwardly anxious, excited people, and they accepted the lesson and for the most part calmed down. I had those who were too worked up brought into custody, instructed them and set them free again this morning. But while I established peace again in Capernaum, and Faustus in Nazareth, Faustus soon came to me in Capernaum out of breath. For in Nazareth he discovered a strong glow of fire from this direction, and thought that something might have happened in Capernaum. But when he arrived in Capernaum, he found everything at peace. Nonetheless, he came to me and gave me the news of the strong glow of fire. I went with him and with many servants on the most significant hill in the vicinity of Capernaum. We saw the redness increasingly better and stronger from there, but it was impossible for any of us to determine which place the misfortune had befallen. Only this morning, when the sun allowed us to recognize the area without a doubt, and I, although from a great distance, recognized from the heavy smoke that it must come from the area around Caesarea Philippi, I decided to steer in this direction, per mare, across the sea, with Faustus, and to find out what had fallen to the flames here. Just as I came down to the sea and wanted to board a ship, our Kisjona arrived with Philippold and brought me the message that he had unmistakably seen Caesarea Philippi in flames from a significant height in his mountains. At this news, which the temporary seer Philippold also confirmed, we hurriedly boarded the ship of a friend of Kisjona and sailed straight here, as well as was possible despite a headwind. On the way, I convinced myself many times on the rough sea that it was Caesarea Philippi, and was greatly afraid of what would have to be done here. But now here, this unexpected holy meeting with the Lord of all magnificence, with his disciples and with you, my dearest brother. Ah, now all fear has gone, for everything has long been in the best order. But now to you, my all, my greatest friend, my holiest master of eternity. Oh, my best friend, Jesus! Look, now all your omnipotence is of no use against my too great love for you. You must now let me smother you in an embrace. I have done it many times every day in the Spirit, but now I am finally doing it also in physical reality. With these words, Cornelius embraced me, pressed me almost painfully to his heart, and covered my head with the warmest kisses and tears of the highest joy. After he had satisfied the desire of his noble heart in this way, he gently let me go again and said, touched through and through, Lord, Master, God and Creator of infinity, spiritually and materially, do tell me what good things I should do now. You know my heart. I said, you also know my heart. Do what your heart tells you in my name, and you will have then done enough for you and for me. But since because of the desire in your heart, you have done such a powerful thing to me, as no one has ever done to me before, I will also do another powerful thing to you on this earth, soon after my ascension, as a consequence of which neither you nor any member of your house shall ever see or feel or taste death in the body. Your display of love has cheered me right into my innermost being, and you have thereby shown me something, the like of which eternity has not yet shown until this moment, except by small children, who sooner recognize the Father than adults. But now let me embrace you in return. Cornelius, crying with joy, says, Lord, Master and God, I am eternally unworthy of such endlessly holy mercy. I say, well then, I make you worthy of it. Come to me. Cornelius came to me, and I embraced him. At this he began to cry loudly and sob, and many thought that something was wrong with him, since he was crying so. But he got control of himself again and said, Be still. Nothing is wrong with me. Instead, everything is most right with me, and the joy unleashes these tears. Now Kisjona steps up to me, asking me quite sadly, Lord, are you also considering me, and are you not annoyed with me? I say, My brother, how can you come to me with such a question? You love me above all else, and I love you to the same degree. What more do you want? Don't you know then how I said to you in confidence that we will remain friends and brothers for eternity? And look, whatever I say remains so for eternity. If you also remain as you are, this will apply to you too. Are you not satisfied with that? Kisjona says, O Lord, I am indescribably satisfied with that, and I am truly blessed to hear once again a most holy word from your holiest mouth. I say to Kisjona, you will hear a lot more. But look at the 50 Pharisees, and you will recognize some who were there at the great event which befell you. Kisjona, Cornelius, and Faustus observed the 50 intently. And Kisjona, who had a particularly good memory for facts, immediately found 8 men who had been with the great transportation across the mountains, and then said, "Well, what are they doing here? Are they here as prisoners, since they were perhaps caught at another transport or other rogue activities?" I say, "None of that. Yesterday's late sun and the following fire in the city, for which they, of course, bear the greatest blame, brought them into our hands. But they are now completely ours and are full citizens of Rome. For look, I have been staying here about 7 days, and that is simply because of the good fishing spot. Here one gets the noblest fish from the natural sea, and likewise also the noblest spiritual fish from the spiritual sea. And we have already really reaped a highly remarkable and notable harvest in this time. Just look at the 50. That is today's catch, and no bad ones among them. Furthermore, you see there another group of 30, all in perfect health. Yesterday's catch. Then you see 12 at the table, also very healthy. Likewise a catch from yesterday. There by the tents you see another 5 of the most exquisite type, also from yesterday. Tell me whether that is not honest work." Jonah says, "Yes, truly. If these have all been won over, then the kingdom of God on this earth that you have announced has taken a great step forward, and all the more so because they seem to be almost all sheer Templars, among whom the older ones are very difficult to transform. Naturally, once they have been converted, they have a conviction as firm as a rock. But I notice also the upright Ebal from Gennesareth with one of his daughters. Does he not belong to those who were captured?" I say, "Certainly. But he already came into our net at the great catch in Gennesareth with his whole house. And the girl was one of the noblest little fish among them. You will get to know all that better, and will take great joy in her. As far as the purest wisdom of the mind is concerned, and also the purity of the heart, very few people here can equal her." I bear this witness of the girl. Do you want a better and more believable one? Jonah says, "Oh Lord, your witness supersedes everything else. But I am looking forward to being able to talk to the girl at all." Faustus asks me, "But are those king's tents over there?" The old man with the completely regal clothes. Also the young man who is now speaking to the young woman. Do they also belong to the captives for the heaven of all love and all light? I say, "Certainly, that is a king from the Pontus. His kingdom is big, and he has led his people very wisely through mild laws, which nonetheless must be extremely strictly followed. He became aware that in order to make a great nation very happy, one must first recognize the truth, and the only true God oneself. He set off and moved south, since he had heard that such a thing could only be found in Jerusalem. On this journey he came to this inland sea and wanted to cross it in order to reach Jerusalem. But he was in great danger because of yesterday's eclipse, from which I had my angel save him and bring him here. And so he is now here. He and his daughter Helena were the only ones who came here with their small crew of servants. But the young king was formerly also a prospective Templar, and as a very talented person he had to go out into the world as a missionary. But on the border between Judea and Samaria, he and 4 companions fell into the hands of robbers and were obliged to become possessed by them along with his companions. Sunk into anger and desperation, the souls of the 5 hid under the wings of their spirits, and their bodies were taken fullest and most active possession of by the extremely most stubborn, worst spirits of infernal background. Only the significant power of punishment by the Romans succeeded in capturing the 5 devils, as the people called them. Only under the strongest cover and thoroughly bound with the heaviest chains could they be brought here the evening before last. According to the strict laws of Rome, they expected nothing other than the most humiliating execution in Sodom. But I saw their souls and their spirit, purified their bodies from the terrible spirits of hell, and you can now talk to them in order to convince yourself with whose children you are dealing. But namely Mathael, now the husband of the daughter of the king, and now himself a king, is a person before whom every respectable citizen should remove his hat. He is, as far as it was possible so far, fully reborn in the Spirit, and will be an effective instrument for me against the heathens of the great north. If you speak to him, you will learn yourself what kind of a spirit he is. Cornelius asks, "But Lord, who is that youth then?" Not Joseph, whom we already know from Nazareth, but the other, who is talking to the girl right now. I say, that is the angel about whom I said that he had saved the old king along with his daughter yesterday. He has now been among mortal people almost 3 weeks, and I have given him particularly to the girl as a teacher. However, he is at the disposal of all who are mine. Philippold asks, "Who is the innkeeper here, and what name does he bear?" I say, he is a Roman veteran, an extremely faithful and truth-loving soul. He has 6 children in all, 2 sons and 4 very dear, dutiful daughters, and likewise a model good wife, who knows no other will than that of her honest husband. Therefore it pleased me also to take accommodation with this previously very poor family. And you will see how these 8 people now will prepare a midday meal for hundreds of people, in which you can take a real joy. Look, the old innkeeper is already coming towards us in order to announce to us that the midday meal is completely prepared.